Welcome to the NCGA Valent Ag Weather Outlook, April 29th, 2017. Well, the big story is going to be a major spring storm rain event, including some very significant flooding across parts of the Corn Belt. It's just starting at the time, but you can see the very heavy rain already. Yellow is 2 inches or more. Red is 5 inches or more over the last week. So southern Missouri, southern Illinois, and pushing into Indiana has been very active so far, and a lot more rain is on the way. Number of rain days over the last 30 days, it gives you some idea of what has been active in the darker shades of green. That's 11 to 15 days of some measurable rain, basically half the days, but up in the upper Midwest, much less. That lighter shade, only about 4 days in the last 30. Now, just when you think we're finished talking about snow, we have this snow over the upper Midwest, parts of eastern North Dakota, small part of South Dakota, Minnesota, even Wisconsin. Even some snowflakes were observed over eastern Iowa, and that's indicating the setup for this spring system. You can see that's a sign of cold air, and that's going to clash with some warm air. Over the last week, here are your temperatures. Yellow above normal by a bit, green below normal. But again, here's that very cold air well below normal. Here's that mild air. And we're getting this setup here where we're pulling this moisture in from the Gulf of Mexico. We have the cold air coming down in this direction. You can see the arrows. That's the streamline. And it's converging right in this area here. If you look closely, you can see that the winds are converging southeast, north in this direction, and they're zero right here, and that's where they're converging, and that's where the heaviest precipitation is. So we have a very active pattern this morning. We have snow, and we have these strong storms. You can see them feeding up to the north here, and the result's going to be a very major rain event and flood event currently going on and extending over the next couple days. Now, soil moisture is a bit complicated because in the recent term, you can see this area of green, and you can see it's getting fairly wet in some spots of Kansas and in the eastern Corn Belt. But a calculated measure shows a little bit longer term perspective, and that's saying we could still use some precipitation in this area. And I can tell you after this rain, we're going to go from needing a little bit to recharge the middle and lower soils to being saturated. As far as soil temperatures go, here you go. That 60-degree line has been stubborn moving to the north recently. We've had some cooler air push in, and as we go through the next week, we're going to go through a cool down, so that 60-degree line is going to be stubborn as far as heading up to the north. Matter of fact, look how chilly cool temperatures are up here in the north, and you can see another sign of that cool air. But I think a big story is going to be the river flooding. We have a lot of points in moderate, which are indicating red, or even major, which is indicated by purple. This is the forecast, and I know we have a lot of growers along lowlands along the Mississippi, so sort of this is minor here, orange, forecast minor, but then as we get in this reach here, downstream of the heaviest rain, major river flooding south of St. Louis down towards Chester and Cape Girardeau, then moderate down from that. So very high river levels on the Mississippi, and then tributaries as well. I know there's a lot of growing operations along these tributaries in Missouri and Illinois, major flooding along those rivers. So the jet stream this week, you can see the energy here. This is the system. That's the cooler air pushing through. Here's the next 5 days, the boundary of the cold air in blue, and that will gradually be pushing over the central U.S. to the east. And as that pushes across, a very strong system, and yes, that's 8 and 9 inches of rain from eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, into Indiana. And then more moderate rainfall along the periphery of that, Iowa, parts of Kansas, and then off to the east as well. But really the areas in red is where very soaking rain looks like it's going to occur. As well as severe storms, this is for Saturday and Sunday, we have a chance of severe weather. Now with all this rain, soils will be much wetter over the next 7 days. The darker blue is some indication of where soils will be getting much wetter. That's associated with that heavy precipitation. Now, as we get into the period of early May, days 6 to 10, the biggest change is that this system is pushing off to the east, so the cooler air gradually pushes off to the east. The eastern Corn Belt looks like it's going to have the coolest air in basically maybe the 5 to 10 day period, central corn belt in the 3 to 5 day period, and then we're already seeing some warming over the west. As we get into the 11 to 15 day range, looks like pretty much near normal. So temperatures, if you're looking for some really warm weather to help dry out the soils and bring up that soil temperature, it doesn't really look like it. It looks like we're going to start out by a period of 5 days of below normal temperatures and then gradually rebound back to near normal for most areas. So it looks like for the next 15 days, no real strong sign of well above normal temperatures. Now, it might be as we get closer to 15, here's that ridge of high pressure. Will be rebounding by that time, but at least the next 10 days below normal temperatures over most of the area. Here's the 11 to 15. You can see we start to moderate at that time. Now, as far as precipitation goes, here's week 1. That very wet period over large parts of the Corn Belt, but the only area missing out is the far upper Midwest. I wanted to point out that May 4th we have another system here. This is the next system, and it looks like it's skirting south, and let's hope it does that. We're not going to need more rain. So there's one more after this. Then week 2, fortunately, week 2 right now, a strong signal for dry weather, 8 to 14 days. So let's summarize this here. Very heavy rain, severe storm, flood event in progress. Behind that, we're looking at cooler temperatures that'll probably go for a week. Then moderating back to normal, no real strong signs of real above normal temperatures on the horizon into early May. It looks like it's going to be very wet. We have that second system that might be to the south of the primary Corn Belt. Then it looks like week 2 will bring us some drying. If you have any questions, I know it's very, very active out there, but I'm always available to answer any of your specific questions. My email's right there. And let's watch this rain and flooding, and hopefully it's not as bad as it looks right now, but it does look like a major spring storm and a lot of adverse weather impacts. Take care.